Hey guys, ThunderXSnipe here, bringing you a new video for the first time in a little bit, and this video is going to be about the brand new Battlefield 2042 trailers. I know a lot of you guys have been really excited and ready for the new Battlefield, and I don't think anyone is excited as me. I've been killing for a new Battlefield lately, especially one of a modern or close to modern era. So I'm very excited, but I am also skeptic as usual, and we're going to get into this video talking about the gameplay reveal trailer, and then I'll talk about the cinematic reveal trailer, and then I'll end the video with talking about a few other things that are not as noticeable in the trailer or are off camera, and then a little bit of my general hopes and worries. So to start things off, let's get started with some good news, and this is in both trailers. You see the return of C4. This has been something that has been long missed in the Battlefield community, I think. The attempts of replacing it with TNT and crap like that in Battlefield 1 and 5 just wasn't worth anything at all. The fact that Battlefield 1, I think, it didn't even stick to vehicles, or it didn't stick to them at first. They might have updated that in later. But in both of them, it just didn't do much damage to vehicles at all. You're more viable using any other gadget. So the actual return to C4 is a much welcomed return. The next thing I want to talk about is, I don't know if many people noticed, but in both trailers you see many of the characters riding around in their military uniforms. But some of them, we actually see them wearing ghillie suits, and we haven't seen a true ghillie suit in Battlefield since, I believe, Battlefield Bad Company 2. There was a couple paid for only ghillie suits in Battlefield 5, but other than that, we really haven't seen them in quite a while. So I think that'll be nice to have a return of into the game. Just a small thing there. After that, we do notice at one point in the trailer of a tank actually being dropped in by a parachute, and then some thrusters keeping it to have a nice soft landing. And that is something that I think should for sure be talked about, is vehicle call-ins. They have confirmed that squads will be able to call in transport vehicles and obviously tanks now. And I am split decision on this. I think the calling in of transport vehicles is completely fine. Tanks is where I get a little skeptic, because I've never been somebody who was in a huge support of the way they balance vehicles in Battlefield. I think there's times where they haven't balanced great, but then there's other times where they are completely overpowered, more than they should be. Of course, a tank should be a tank, but it's also gotten to the point to where 5 RPGs should be more than enough to take them out, and it barely touches their health. Personal opinion there, but I do think it's something to be a little skeptic about. Hopefully they have limits of vehicles on the map in general. I'm sure they do. Every squad running around tanks would be a little insane, but it's something to keep an eye on. After that, let's talk about the grappling hook, and then later seen are the zip lines. I know some people are very skeptic of both of those. The grappling hook specifically, we have seen both of them in Battlefield Hardline, and I think they both worked really well in there. The grappling hook does work a little different compared to Hardline, but I don't think it's too much to bat an eye at. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out, but I don't see it being a huge issue. I don't think people are going to have that big of a problem with it in the end. We won't really know until beta and gameplay. I do think the zip lines are completely fine. They were great in Battlefield Hardline. I don't know of many people who actually complained about them. I think most of the community was pretty on board with them, and I thought they were cool myself. So I think it's cool to see them return back to the series. After that, last thing I want to talk about in the gameplay trailer that popped up was in-game customization when they're in the elevator, giving a quick customization to their guns. I do think overall it is a good idea. As long as they keep it limited to about what it is in the trailer, we should be fine. We don't know too much about gun customization and what we're all allowed to do with our guns, if it's going to be something as broad as Battlefield 3 and 4, or if we'll be very limited to customization like we were in Battlefield 1. Hopefully it's pretty balanced out and we shouldn't have to worry about much, but it is something to keep a skeptic eye on just in case. That pretty much wraps it up on the gameplay trailer. There's not too much I want to talk about in the cinematic reveal trailer. I guess we could start out talking with the wingsuit that showed up in both trailers. I know some people are very skeptical about it. They think it's a little over ridiculous, or it's just crazy. I don't really know exactly what everyone's complaining about it. To me, it's just a parachute that can get you farther and more accurate, but I'm sure you have higher chance of dying. Who knows? It's something that I think people are making very overdramatic, especially for a game like Battlefield. I know Battlefield has built itself on some realism, but we've always been more of a, more realistic than Call of Duty, but not near as realistic as games like Arma or Escape from Tarkov, arguably, stuff like that. So I don't think it's anything to make a big deal about, and we'll just have to wait till beta and or release. Another small thing that I do want to point out in the cinematic trailer, in this clip here that I'm about to show, is the return of stealing dog tags when you execute melee somebody. I think it's a nice small detail that I've missed from the previous Battlefield games and we haven't seen since Battlefield 4, and I just, I think it's something to point out, and I'm really happy it's back in the game. This does lead to the next part that I'm going to talk about, which is another returning feature to the game from Battlefield 4, is Levolutions, and I am so glad they're back. I thought Levolutions were great in Battlefield 4. I know sometimes they did kind of change the map to not be as good as it was pre-Levolution, but majority of the time it wasn't that big of a difference, and they were still very cool factor to have in the game. So I'm really excited that they're back, including that awesome, huge, overdramatic tornado in the game. It looks just like the ones ripped straight out of the Day After Tomorrow movie. If you guys haven't seen that movie, it's a great movie. But as a guy from Kansas, I know my tornadoes and twisters and stuff, and it's just cool. I've always thought they were interesting, and I can't wait to see how they affect the gameplay. Not many games actually have them in their games where it affects something on this scale, so I think it's going to be a great addition to the game. And that brings me to the last thing that I want to talk about from the cinematic trailer is the robot dog near the beginning of it, and I'm going to put a clip of that right here. Yeah, I'm not a fan of drones in video games in general. I didn't mind stuff like the MAV or the SUAV or SWAV, and I didn't even mind the EOD bot or the UCAV that much. Mostly because none of those were really overpowered. The UCAV, it was kind of hard to control, and its blast radius wasn't crazy. That was the only one I think was, questionable at times, but I think they did pretty well balancing it. However, the drone dog, at least that's what I'm calling it, I'm very skeptical about this. I can't stand weaponized drones like that because it's really like a no-risk, all-reward kind of thing with the machine gun on its back and everything, and I'm really skeptical. A lot of my friends say it's probably going to be like a pickup item, and I'm like, that doesn't really make me feel any better because we've had pickup items in Battlefields in the past where they end up being OP and they had to nerf them. Other friends say they'll just be really garbage, and then, which is what I kind of hope for, but at the same time I don't, because then, what's the point of having it in the game if it's completely useless? But yeah, I'm very skeptical of the robot dog, and it's really put me on edge, because if they have one weaponized drone in the game, what's to keep them from adding more and becoming just a big drone fight? I don't know. Maybe I'm overdoing this. It's just I'm not a big fan of it, and it keeps me skeptic for sure. But that's the last thing from the cinematic trailer I want to talk about. There's only a couple things I want to talk about that really weren't in the trailers, but I kind of want to bring them up. The main thing is the larger maps and 128 players. I think this is awesome. Every few Battlefields we go through this huge upgrade. Honestly, it's kind of long overdue looking at the patterns of previous ones. And I'm super excited for it. For those of you who don't know, this is only for next gen when it comes to consoles, so the Series X and PlayStation 5. I know I'm going to be upgrading soon because of this game specifically. And then conquest for this game mode is going to be changed to like a sector conquest, I believe is what it's called, or something similar. It's pretty much the map is broken into sectors, and then those sectors will have the conquest objective points in them. So I guess you have to have either all or majority of in order to own the sector. Not really sure on the specifics on it, but I think it's going to play out pretty well. Hopefully, at least. The other thing I want to talk about is how they're doing specialist instead of the classic 4 classes. I'm skeptic about this because I feel the 4 classes is, one, it's a Battlefield trademark. We've had the 4 classes forever. The other thing too is it really helped keep balance amongst the game. Having these specialists instead, almost like Rainbow Six Siege, where you're going to get a special gadget and then you'll have a secondary gadget with your grenades. Guns can go across all the classes. It just keeps me skeptic because I don't know how well this is going to stay balanced when it comes to, like, you know, everyone can be running around with an assault rifle and then RPG and then, you know, whatever else they pair it up with. I just think that you can make some pretty meta setting classes and keep things unbalanced. Or not, you know, we're not really sure exactly how things are going to go. I'm curious to see how they balance this out and what the first Battlefield breaking out of the 4 class system is going to be like. I'm skeptic about it, but at the same time, I'm kind of hopeful about it. So, overall reviews, I'm very excited and hopeful for this next Battlefield. You know, we haven't had a true modern Battlefield since arguably Hardline, but really Battlefield 4. And Battlefield 4 is like probably my second favorite game of all time. I'm excited overall. You know, it'd be nice to play a modern shooter that's not from 2012 or 13, whenever Battlefield 4 came out. So I think this is going to be great. I'm worried about it being the near future stuff. Like I said, the drones, you know, weaponized drones is always a worry. And the specialist instead of classes is kind of a worry. For the most part, everything else, you know, is fine. I don't think there's too much else to worry about. So I'm really hopeful for the game. I can't wait to play the beta. I'm sure there will be one. I don't care what I have to do to get in it, because I will. I've played every Battlefield beta since Battlefield 4, I believe, or Battlefield 3. So I think that's going to wrap up the video, though. Please leave a like and comment on what you think. Just hit that subscribe button. It's always a help and a pleasure. But yeah, catch you guys in the next one. And see you guys on the battlefield.